here today to talk with you about my job working in a restaurant in this area of Rochester. Now, when I tell people that I work at a restaurant, they often think that this is an easy job to have, but it really isn't. One of the reasons is because you're dealing with the public on a daily basis. Now, you may talk with about 50 people or more a day, and it's important that you satisfy these people before they leave your restaurant or before you hang up the phone.
I want to talk about working in a restaurant. I currently work in a restaurant in Rochester, and when I usually tell people that I work in a restaurant, they often think that it's an easy job to have, but that's not the case at all. In a daily basis, you're dealing with at least 50 customers, if not more, and you have to make sure that they have a good experience while they're there.
And this isn't always as easy as it sounds. People may call up with questions, maybe about reservations, what's on the menu, your hours, or if you have a smoking area. Like I said before, it's not always easy to make these people happy before you're finished dealing with them. You may have a customer that's upset about something that went wrong in the restaurant. Maybe they ordered something and it didn't come out the way they like it. You need to try your best to make them happy before they leave the restaurant, because
making a customer happy isn't always the easiest task, and it's very hard to accomplish. A lot of times we can get calls from customers asking about our hours, if we have a smoking section, menu choices, catering, etc. And a lot of times it's hard to please the customer before they leave your restaurant. A lot of times a customer might be unsatisfied with something that has gone on. Maybe the food didn't come out the way they asked.
You want them to come back again. Also, you may have a customer that's just rude to you for no reason at all, and you need to remain calm and pleasant to this customer so that they have a pleasant memory of their restaurant. Now, trust me, there's been plenty of times that I've had a customer be rude to me for no reason at all, and I've had to try my best to remain calm, even if I didn't want to, for two reasons. This is not my business, and I need to keep my job.
Oftentimes, when customers are unhappy, we have to do our best to make sure that they leave satisfied. That way they come back. You also can run into rude customers who aren't very nice to you, but you have to remain calm and stay pleasant through the entire experience. And that's mainly for two reasons. One, because it's not my restaurant, I don't own the restaurant. And two, I need my job.
One of the main things that our employer emphasizes as her goal to the restaurant is to have her guests happy when they leave. We also need to make sure that we say hello or goodbye to every person entering or leaving the restaurant. This is one of her goals as well. You may have 20 things going on at the same time, but you need to drop them to say hello to a guest and make them feel welcomed at the restaurant. This is always not easy because you have to finish your task as well, and sometimes you lose track of it.
The owner of the restaurant has two goals. The first one is to make sure, or to try our best to make sure, that every customer leaves satisfied. Another one of her big goals is to make sure that you say hello and goodbye to every single customer. This is very important to her, and a lot of times, you may be doing another task in the restaurant, but it's always important to drop what you're doing, no matter what it is, to always say hello to a customer.
Also, server or a host in the restaurant, you have other responsibilities that you need to fill, such as seating a table, taking their order, taking a to-go order, as well as packing it up, answering the phone, like I said before, taking reservations, and around this time of the year, the holidays are taking place, so you need to write out gift certificates, and that seems to happen a lot. Now, these are all things that you have to do as part of your job as a host or server. But then there's other responsibilities that you must do, such as your side work, which may be making boxes, because where I work we sell plenty of desserts on a daily basis. So we always need to make sure that our area is set up before we leave the restaurant.
This can often be hard to accomplish because as a hostess or a server, you have plenty of tasks that you need to complete throughout your shift, such as seating a table, taking an order, filling a to-go order, answering the phone, especially with reservations, filling those out. But this also can be hard because you have plenty of side work as well, especially because we sell a lot of desserts. So you have to make sure that station is set up and ready to go, especially before you leave for the night.
Also, I have a funny story to tell you that is an experience that I had while working at the restaurant, serving a table. A guest came in, was pleasant. I took their order. Everything was going well. I brought out her food, and all of a sudden I was told by another server that I needed to quickly go to the dining room where the woman was sitting. I said, okay, so I went out there, and the woman was standing up from her chair in a panic with her hands flailing in the air. And I said, ma'am, is there something that I could help you with? And she screamed on the top of her lungs, there's a fly in my food, a fly. And I was trying to get her to sit down and relax, because at this point the restaurant was full and she had everyone's attention.
I actually have a funny story about one time I was serving a table. I had a customer come in, and I quickly took her order and made sure to get her food. And then all of a sudden, one of the other servers came over to me and told me that I have to go over to the table right away. So I quickly walked over to the table, and I see this woman standing there. When I asked her what was wrong, she starts flailing her arms and expressing that there was a fly in her food, and she's screaming it at the top of her lungs in front of all of these customers. And I was trying to get her to sit down and calm down, because at this point I didn't want any of the other customers to also be alarmed and, afraid of their food.
And this is not something that you promote in a restaurant, that there's a fly in your food. So I tried to get her to calm down, but it wasn't working. She seemed to relish on the idea of everyone knowing what the problem was. So once again, I asked her to calm down, and then I would bring over a manager for her. So the manager came over and explained to her that he was terribly sorry that this took place, and they would do their best to get her another meal if she wanted to, or perhaps a free dessert, whatever she wanted. She refused everything, demanded to speak to the owner, and this was difficult because the owner was not there at the time. So she refused the meal, refused a free dessert, everything that we tried our best, but still continued to talk on the top of her lungs. So finally, she calmed down, left the restaurant, but before she left, we took her name and number so our owner could give her a call later that day. So this is just an example of how dealing with people can be very difficult. It's not always easy to try to make everybody happy. So that's the fun part of working in a restaurant. It's not always as easy as you may think.
Now, even though I tried to get her to calm down, she seemed to not want to. She almost seemed as though she liked the attention that she got from promoting that there was a fly in her food. And obviously this is something you don't want to promote in front of other customers. So I offered for her to speak to a manager, and when I brought the manager over, they had offered her a free meal, free dessert, whatever, would rectify and satisfy the situation. But she demanded to talk to the owner. Unfortunately, that was kind of impossible considering that the owner was not there at that time. So she refused all of our offers. She didn't want anything to really do with us. So we decided to take her number, her name and her phone number, to give to the owner to call them later that day when they had gotten into the restaurant. But this is just one example that goes to show you that you can't always satisfy everybody, and being a waitress isn't as easy as it looks.